own secrets and insights to wellness, one story at a time.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for being here today. It is a beautiful Thursday afternoon. This is Diane McConaughey at My Jane. Welcome to My Jane, My Story. Our mission is to unite and empower women through community, education, and exploration of cannabis solutions to address our biggest health concerns like sleep, pain, and stress. There's so much overwhelming information out there, and we decided that we needed to come together and share stories by creating My Jane, My Story. This is a place to talk about real-life experiences so we can be better and do better by helping one another. Every journey is unique, every path is special, and we are extremely grateful to have our guest here to share with us. This is a non-judgmental space where every question is necessary to learn and shift our perspective on this plant. So My Jane is in the process right now of launching a great box for Valentine's Day. We have a passion box, which is our THC line, and we have a romance box, which is our CBD line, which we'll be talking a little bit about today. But we have a great guest here to talk about some of these great things. So it's a very important topic that we're talking about today. We're going to talk about women's sexual health. So our guest is Christine Lee. She is backed by 20 years of experience as a physician, founded the Healing Company in 2019 with the mission of providing a high-quality, medically approved, and trustable brand in a disjointed and inconsistent cannabis market, while actualizing her lifelong entrepreneurial and creative aspirations. Not only is she Harvard, NYU, and UCSF trained, she was a dedicated and compassionate physician in a busy private practice in Oakland, Berkeley, and Lafayette, California. She now brings her medical knowledge and domain expertise to the team as a board-certified OB/GYN. With a focus on women's health needs, the Healing Company is the first ever female physician-sponsored cannabis line to pursue a novel vaginal delivery method, applying leading-edge biomedical technologies, new patents, and tapping into an effective but underutilized way for sensitive patients to access the therapeutic benefits of cannabis. The CBD vaginal suppository will be the initial product with fastest uptake nationally, followed by CBD THC vaginal suppositories within California and hopefully other states. But an equally important emphasis will be on patient empowerment and education, the benefits of microdosing and sustainability. With her products, Chris hopes to target a diverse variety of women's needs, from PMS and menstrual cramps, to menopause symptoms including vaginal dryness and hot flashes, to migraines, insomnia, and chronic pain. She wants to do the thinking and editing for patients, so that whatever they select from her high-quality product line, it will be trustworthy, reliable, and safe. In addition, with an emphasis on education, awareness, and self-empowerment, the Healing Company hopes to be a leading force in bridging the gap between the medical professionals and the cannabis industry, eventually expanding to offer a comprehensive line of products for seniors as well as youth. Their goal is to develop, manufacture, and commercialize products that are safe, effective, and meet the needs of those that would benefit from the medicinal use of cannabis by constantly innovating. Hi, Chris. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, Diane. Thank you for having me. What an honor.
Yeah, I'm so honored to have you here. So tell us a little bit about you and your medical background.
So going back to my youth, I was surrounded by a lot of women. I grew up with many aunts and went to an all-girls high school in Los Angeles, and wanted to, had a strong sense of my identity as a woman. And so then when I was in medical school, I decided I wanted to be back in women's health, helping other women, so I became an OB/GYN. And I enjoyed and I loved what I did. I loved my patients, but it was really exhausting.
Yeah,
babies come at all hours, and I just really didn't have much work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be there for my patients, would go in for their deliveries, so it was pretty much on call all the time.
Yeah.
So after, great many years of that, I had an opportunity to leave my practice and come back to Los Angeles, where I grew up. My parents wanted me around for a few reasons. They were still here in Los Angeles, and my mother had 3 back surgeries.
Oh, wow.
And was struggling with recovering and with chronic pain.
Yeah.
My father also had his own business, and he wanted to sort of slow down and step back and have my sister and I help out. So I slowly, painfully extricated myself. It was really hard. I really didn't want to disappoint my patients. But I slowly left my practice. For the first year, I was flying up back and forth to still do some surgeries, but I didn't have my own patients in the office that I saw on a regular basis. But eventually, my entire family moved down, and I stopped that as well. So that sort of segues into how I got into this.
Yeah, tell us about the cannabis story.
So I pretty much at some, couple years ago stopped practicing entirely, and was helping my father with his real estate, and I sort of backdoored into cannabis. And we got a letter from the city attorney's office that this tenant was not doing business properly or legally, and we needed to shut it down immediately. Otherwise, we were going to get a big penalty. And I was very confused. It was a dispensary, and I thought it was legal in California.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. So then we started meeting cannabis attorneys and meeting people in city regulatory domain, and we started learning so much more about this and how there was so much confusion and how these dispensaries were not legal yet, and this was I think around 2017, and they were just passing Measure M, I believe. But so we immediately, we didn't want to break the law, so we immediately shut that down. But in the process, I learned a lot about cannabis. And I learned that maybe it was a, medication or had therapeutic value for my mother. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I can find some. How do I go about doing that? I had never stepped foot into a dispensary before. So I went and I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to get and how to find out what was the proper thing for my mother. She didn't want side effects. She didn't want to be altered.
And she was on opioids, I would imagine, for the pain, right?
She was definitely dependent on opioids. It was very scary. And you could see just her personality was changing. She started to exhibit all the manifestations of an addict, and we even had to go to an addiction specialist and mental health specialist. So it was very scary, and I felt like I was losing her, and that was another reason I came to Los Angeles, is because she was not ambulatory. She was in bed. She, I thought this might be it for her. And so I started meeting with these people in dispensaries, and they really didn't offer me useful, valuable information that I could trust and that was consistent. Everyone basically said, well, everyone's different. So I needed someone who could sort of handhold and guide me more. And one of the city regulators that I met, or he was just in policy, he was a regular user, and he had inflammatory bowel disease. I believe it was ulcerative colitis. It might have been Crohn's disease, but he said it was refractory to all Western treatments. All the strong medications they ever gave him didn't work, and he was debilitated. And it wasn't until he found cannabis suppositories that he was able to function again. And I had worked with him, and he was very functional, and you wouldn't have known the difference. And he certainly did not come off to me as someone who used cannabis on a regular basis, the typical stereotypes.
Because you think of a pothead or someone who's just walking around like,
So I met with someone who was growing and making products for him, and he literally talked to me for, I want to say 2 hours. I was parked in my car in a parking lot, and he was giving me a whole talk on the endocannabinoid system and how he has had so many patients and success stories and treated cancer. And here I am, MD, I've never heard of a plant like cannabis treating cancer. And the more I listened to him, the more it started to sort of make sense, but I still didn't quite believe it.
Because you must have been prescribing painkillers to your patients for certain things, I would imagine. 'Cause
Absolutely.
that's what you knew, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the research.
And we were never ever taught about the
Right.
endocannabinoid system in medical school. So I was like, is this
What is
a real
this?
thing? What is he talking about? Is he making this up?
Right.
So I decided to explore more, and indeed, it is an amazing system that's been with us, since we were humans. It's just that we didn't know about it. Nobody actually pursued research.
How did you find your research? How did you find the studies because as a doctor, you're not just looking at, an article that just someone writes, okay, let's talk about cannabis. I mean, you're looking for more research-based.
Yeah. Well, now it's very different than 3 years ago when
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
initially exploring this. And there was still some research online. But I started to go to cannabis conferences to try
Okay.
to learn more.
Nice.
And actually, surprisingly, a lot of the conferences I went to back then were very focused on business aspects and agricultural aspects. There were discussions about the health benefits, but there was interestingly never any other physician I encountered.
Yeah.
Occasionally I would meet a chiropractor or a naturopath, but really I was confused. What is this huge disconnect? We're all trying to help people get healthier and better, and why do doctors not talk to these cannabis experts who've seen proven results and have stories and anecdotes to share? And when you go to a medical conference, there's never any talk about cannabis.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to explore it further and became more curious. And then I decided last year that I would pursue this because I was helping my father with some real estate, but really not utilizing my medical degree. And I wanted to be a contributor in our society in a way that was unique to me.
Yeah.
One of the things that I felt like when I was an OBGYN was that although my patients wouldn't have the same relationship as they did with me, they would still find another doctor to go to. There was no shortage of gynecologists that they could see if they needed something addressed. And I felt, finally, when I retired, I said, okay, my patients will be fine. I'm not their savior. They don't need me. I'm replaceable.
It's hard to let go, huh?
So when I realized that I was replaceable, I wanted to do something else with my life
Yeah.
that could be more meaningful, that not everyone was doing, that I could contribute with some value. And what I saw was that most doctors were too busy. They, number one, didn't believe in cannabis or were too busy, didn't care, and they had other treatment modalities they were, offering their patients and were satisfied with that. But I felt like there were very few people with an MD that were willing to challenge what we have studied to date and explore a new system, the ECS, the endocannabinoid system, and see what else it offers, because I have seen so many conditions in women's health where our Western medicines are short.
Right.
They fall short, menopause symptoms. Some people, of course, estrogen and hormone replacement is wonderful, but not everyone is a candidate.
Right.
And for chronic pain, well, what do you do if you had your third surgery for endometriosis, you can't take hormones, and you're in pain, and now you're on to opioids?
Right.
Or, there's just so many things. So when we don't have the perfect solution with Western medicine, as in the case with my mom and her pain, I wanted to offer what cannabis could offer as a tool in the toolbox, as a complementary approach, alternative. So I thought, well, that's what I could do in this new space that I'm learning about, is offer a product so that someone like me doesn't have to walk sheepishly into a dispensary, talk to a bud tender to try and figure out what to get for their senior parent. I wanted to be able to take the math out of it for the consumer and the research out of it, and just offer them a line of go-to products that they could take their health into their own hands and trust that it was organically sourced and reliably made and also reproducible. So if they liked it and wanted it next month, it would still be there. Because another thing I found was that the inventory is changing so much in the dispensaries. You like something, you might not be able to find it next month.
And then it's like starting all over again, right? If you can't find what works for you, and then it's not there anymore. And
people like my mother, she just doesn't have the patience to do a lot of trial and error.
Well, or I mean, not only the patience, but I mean, when you're in pain like that, it's like almost you don't have the time, right?
Yeah.
You just need to be out of pain because you just can't live in that kind of pain. Well, so what kind of, did you have female patients coming to you when you were practicing, asking you about CBD or cannabis? I mean, I know it's been a few years, but was there a little bit of a buzz at that point?
Not really, not back then. And if I did or someone did bring it up, I wouldn't have known what to say.
Right. Because there wasn't research that you knew of, right, at that point. And what kind of struggles were you seeing in your female patients in regards to sexual health? I mean, I know you said the menopause, but what other kind of things were you seeing that you wanted to address more of?
Women have had to go through so much, and it's amazing how little we all know about it.
Yeah.
But being someone's gynecologist, I become privy to all these, personal, intimate, secrets that people keep. And there were so many common threads. So a lot of people have discomfort with intercourse. A lot of people have a lack of desire, low libido. And a lot of people have dryness. And dryness is really a big problem postmenopausally. And I have had one patient describe, not even during sex, just in general, she just felt like it was barnacles down there because she was so dry and so uncomfortable. And so it's a problem that affects many women, but not just sexual health, like menstrual health. Like, I have a teenage daughter and she's debilitated every time around that time of the month, and we lose so many days to, issues related to pelvic pain, menstrual pain, migraines, hormonally triggered migraines, we call them menstrual migraines, let alone all the sexual. I mean, so there's so much that women suffer from.
And we're afraid to talk about a lot of times. I mean, I know coming to our doctor, it's a little more comfortable, but we don't want to talk about it out in public, and so I like that there's a conversation around this because this is something that does need to be addressed.
Absolutely. And the other thing, when I was thinking about how I can, do something unique and offer some of my, skills or knowledge, when I was thinking about going into the cannabis space, and I was thinking, well, should I do something for pain for people like my mother, like she's used to taking capsules, so maybe I'll do some capsules. But I said, I am not the cannabis expert of the world, and I'm not the best farmer who grew up around this. What do I know about cannabis that someone else doesn't already know much more than I do? But what I do know is about women's health.
Right.
So I thought that I would align what I could offer with from the perspective of women's health. And what I think that the world doesn't know is what a huge asset we have as women. We have some part of our body that men don't have. It's the vagina. And the vagina is unique in that that we actually can absorb medication through this area.
It's a great thing that we have.
Yes. So, and why we don't have more vaginal medications is probably because people are uncomfortable talking about it or thinking about it or the idea of it, and also all the men in our society who are, in pharmaceuticals or research, they don't really care about that either, probably. So it's just been an underutilized asset of ours that I want to sort of bring back, and I think people are getting more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
People, are used to using tampons. And also with the IUD, the intrauterine device, people are much more accepting of it. In the past, it had a very bad reputation for causing a lot of infections and being dangerous and causing miscarriages. But now there has been great acceptance of the IUD.
Good.
And I think that medication delivered vaginally is an amazing tool that we need to utilize. And so I would like to sort of disrupt, so to speak, this whole way of thinking about therapeutics and medication and modes of delivery, and really tap into what we have and underutilized in the past.
Yeah, because you've said it. It's much more absorption. There's much more absorption that goes on if you use a suppository or something of that nature, right?
Absolutely. So a huge benefit is that it's like taking something sublingually or inhaling. It goes directly to the bloodstream. So it bypasses the liver metabolism.
Nice.
And that's what breaks down a lot of medication so that only a fraction of it is available for your body.
Right.
So the bioavailability with vaginal administration of medications is much higher.
Well, can you tell us about your products? Here is, if you're watching on YouTube, here is one of the products that's in this romance box. So talk a little bit about these products that you developed.
So this product is a collaboration with myself and Sunme Beauty. Sunme Beauty was founded by two radiation oncologists in Chicago, Diana and Erica. And they have a also very unique, interesting story with a medical background. But I'll let you interview them a separate time. So we collaborated and made this intimacy oil. So it has CBD, organic. I believe it's a isolate, and we have full spectrum versions. And has some nice essential oils that have antimicrobial and antifungal properties. And this is just to sort of, make things a little bit more pleasurable, comfortable, smoother during intercourse.
Which I will say, I've used it and it's great. It really is great. It's probably one of the best lubes I've ever used. Just really, it smells lovely. It's not too greasy. It's like the perfect lube. So thank you. Can I say thank you?
Yes.
And you have other products that you're developing as well besides this, right?
Yes.
So we're excited to see what else is going to come out.
So I have several vaginal inserts or suppositories, and they're mostly geared for, it really is amazing because you can treat various symptoms, whatever symptoms you suffer from, ranging from dryness related to menopause or pelvic pain with intercourse, which we call dyspareunia, or menstrual cramps, or pelvic pain related to other issues like endometriosis or even lower back pain.
Oh, nice.
So it gets, again, absorbed locally and affects the regional area first. But it can also help with generalized symptoms like insomnia because it does get into the circulation. So it can also help with relaxation, anxiety, mood issues.
Good. So it's like double whammy. Because as a female myself, having those months where it's just horrific, it just would be nice to have something that gives me a little more relief because I don't like to take pills. I don't like to take medication. So I'm glad to hear that you're coming out with something that's going to be absorbed quickly and, is healthy for our bodies instead of chemicals. So.
And if someone suffers from severe chronic pain, if they can even lower their dose of opioids by a fraction, that would be amazing.
It's huge. Yeah, and you saw that with your mother.
Yeah, and I just want also people to become more knowledgeable, and I think with time they'll be more accepting. Even physicians will be more accepting of cannabis as a tool for patients.
Yeah.
Again, a friend of mine, her mother had severe pain and was on narcotics, again, for back issues, spinal stenosis, but she had kidney problems and she couldn't be on a lot of medications. And she was able to reduce her dose of narcotics by taking tinctures.
Wow.
And she did not want to talk to her doctor about it. And finally, when she did, her doctor told her to stop. But it was the only way that she was able to reduce her narcotics and minimize the side effects of the narcotics, which can include, severe constipation and a number of other, problems besides addiction. So it was just disappointing to know that most people are still afraid to allow their patients to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for what you're doing. I think it's just so great. And can you tell people how to get a hold of you or to learn more about the products, or is there a place that they can go and learn more about?
Absolutely. So I have a website that's in progress, but it will be full of useful information and educational material, and also my product lines. It's called lolalabs.co.
Okay, so it's LOLALABS.co. Okay, cool. Well, then everybody can find it. Well, thank you for being here, Chris.
Thank you
Paul's
for
telling me to cut
having
off.
me.
I know I want to keep talking about the vagina, but we can't. So Paul's saying no more. So thank you for being here, and you guys can check out this box as well. This is a great thing to share with your love or someone in your life that you want to have a little bit of fun with. So thank you for coming today and being a great part of the My Jane community. If you would like to order a romance box for Valentine's Day, they will be available on our site, myjane.com, after January 31st. These can be shipped anywhere in the U.S., and this box was created for couples to experience the many pleasurable applications of CBD, to awaken all the senses and enjoy the euphoria of romance. So we're so excited that you're a part of this box, and it's just a great experience it's not just a one-time use. You can use this for a few nights or weekend away or, anytime. So if you are listening, please rate, review, and subscribe so more people can find My Jane, My Story and feel better. Please find us on Facebook and Instagram at My Jane Social. So the little quote that I found today is, "Here's to strong women. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them." So come back next week. We will have Adam Grossman, the CEO from Papa and Barkley, here to tell us about this well-known and respected brand in the cannabis space. Learn more about his company and who holds this to be true. One of their taglines is "Clean means simple, fresh, and better for you." So we will see you next week. Thank you for being here and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to My Jane, My Story. If you want to learn more, you can join the My Jane community at myjane.com. Get instant access to our Facebook group, Facebook community, educational resources, and updates on My Jane products and special events. And for personal attention right now, you can also pick up the phone and call 833-MY-JANE2. That's MYJANE2. And speak to your own wellness concierge, because it's time to own your wellness. Be well.